simple, easier, and cheaper also. You can imagine if we invite Dr. Abdullah from Hadramaut or Dr. Ruqayya Nasser from Saudi Arabia. It takes a long time to come here, and it takes a lot of money also and energy to spend. So it is, as I said, it is a blessing in disguise for us behind the COVID-19 crisis. I would like to say also to Dr. Ruqayya and Dr. Abdullah that our university actually have cooperation with universities in Saudi Arabia, namely with Saudi Electronic University, Al-Jami'ah Al-Elektronia Saudiyah di Riyadh, and also with Islamic University in Medina, Al-Munawwarah. And we hope in the future we're going to have also a cooperation with your university, Jazan University in Saudi Arabia. And we also had a cooperation with Al-Ahqaf University, Jamiat Al-Ahqaf in Yemen, when the rector of this university visited us last year to this university. And we hope in the future we're going to have also a cooperation with College Arts Hadramaut, a university in Yemen. Ladies and gentlemen, on the other hand, there are a lot of challenges in this situation that we have to face when we use the online system, including our teaching and learning activities in the university. Here in Indonesia, for example, when the COVID-19 crisis began around the middle of March this year, actually our teaching and learning activities were also in the middle. So at that time, the semester was in the middle. And so most of our classes, if not all, at that time were face-to-face class, not online one. So actually in this university, we have the electronic learning system, or we call it ELS, but only very few or even nobody use it at that time. Therefore, when coronavirus attacked us and we should close our university and move to online system, we were shocked. We were shocked when we had to start using the electronic system of learning. So at that time, we should learn how to use various applications available to us, and also to discuss the issue with our students. But it is not surprising that many students and lecturers were not satisfied with their respective classes of the last semester because of this sudden event. But nevertheless, we have to learn from our experiences of the last semester, the good and the bad things, because we want to improve our services to our students. So I asked all faculties and departments to have a survey of the levels of our student satisfaction and ask our students to give us the feedbacks. The result of the survey are not very good, but not very bad either. What was important is that we should increase the good things we did and improve the bad ones. So based on this consideration, I believe that now in this new semester, I believe that we have prepared ourselves better than before. And this is true. This is proved by our recent online dormitory programs that was closed last week. So the organizers in our dormitory spread a survey to our students on the satisfaction of the students, and the result of the survey indicated that the high majority of students participated in the program, in the dormitory program online, were satisfied and very satisfied. So this is very good news for me, and I think uh, the classes in our university for this new semester will be also better than what we had before in the last semester, because we are more prepared right now. At least this is my hope for you, for our lecturers, and also for our students in this university. So I'm happy that the topic of this webinar is feedback, about feedback. I think it is very important because if we listen to our students, listen to our lecturers through the feedback, we can improve our teaching and learning activities in this university. So I hope this webinar will open our minds to new ideas, new perspectives of how to develop our online classes in our university, especially in the department of, in English department of the Faculty of Education. I think this is what I can say today. So I can congratulate you all to have this webinar. I hope everybody will be happy and will learn something new and beneficial for us. So by hoping the bless of God, let us officially open this webinar by saying Basmalah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Professor, for the welcome speech and officially opening this event. Ladies and gentlemen, the next agenda will be the recitation of dua. We would like to request Bapak Dr. Andes Sa'dilah MPD to lead us in prayer.
Unmute, itu di unmute.
We cannot hear anything. We cannot hear.
There is a technical problem, I suppose, Dr. Alfala.
Maybe he did not unmute himself.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Thank you, Bapak Saadillah. May Allah
We
bless
couldn't
this
hear
event
first.
and shower us with His blessing. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to make this event more memorable, it is my honor to invite everyone to join us in photo session. Would you please turn on your video so that we can capture the moment? Hadirin sekalian, dimohon agar seluruhnya menyalakan video agar sesi foto bersama bisa kita laksanakan. Kepada panitia, dipersilakan untuk mengambil foto.
Oke. Next slide.
Baik, thank you Bapak Ibu. Distinguished guests and participants, it is time we have been waiting for, the presentation from our prominent speakers. Before the presentation begins, allow me to welcome the moderator, who will lead us through the discussion. She is an English lecturer at Uin Antasari, Banjarmasin, and currently taking a PhD program at Universitas Negeri Makassar. Please welcome Ibu Raida Asfihana, MPD.
I'm sorry, allow me to say something that I have to leave this meeting. Nice to meet you, Mr. Abdullah Al-Falah and Ruqayya.
Here is mine first.
Yeah, because I have another program.
Okay, thank
Have
you
a
very
nice
much, Professor.
seminar. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Professor Mujibur Rahman.
Thank you, Bapak Mujib.
You.
Okay, let's start our presentation now. Thank you very much for the Master of Ceremony, Ms. Nur Alfa Rahma, for inviting me to our main session here. Ya, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good afternoon all. Honorable the presenters and also the participants of this English International webinar. First of all, let us thanks to Allah the Almighty because only of His blessing we are able to join this online seminar. And secondly, salawat and salam also delivered to our Prophet Muhammad SAW. Okay, dear participants, I see that there are 334 that has already joined our program now, yeah, and it will be increased and increase many more. The main topic of our webinar today is practical assessment and feedback for online classes. This issue meets the requirement of today's situation, right? This is so since most of the teaching and learning process is conducted online nowadays. And I'd like to inform you that this webinar is organized by English Department of Tarbiyah and Teacher Training Faculty of Universitas Islam Negeri Antasari, Banjarmasin. Let me inform you in advance that in order to get your e-certificate, you have to fill in the evaluation form as the exit ticket. It will be shared before the webinar ended. There will be also quizzes after the presentation, so please stay tuned to the end, okay? Okay, now as the moderator, I will inform our agenda this afternoon. The first session is presentation time, and each presenter gets 30 minutes to present the paper. The second session is question and answer session. The Q&A can be directly through Zoom, or the participants may write question on the chat box and also in the YouTube chat. And for your information, we will finish all three presentations first, then directly go to the open the Q&A session. And the third one will be closing. Okay, now let's start our session, and we have three presenters in our international webinar. The first presenter is Dr. Abdullah Rajab Al-Falah, and then the second one is Dr. Ruqayyah Nasem Wafa, and the third one is Mr. Rusnadi Ali Hasan MA. Dear presenters, let's open our webinar by saying Basmalah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Before I invite the first presenter, let me inform you about his short biography. Okay, Dr. Abdullah Rajab Al-Falah is an assistant professor of TESOL and Applied Linguistics, College of Arts, Hadramaut University in Yemen. His professional skills deal with teaching English and literature at university and schools, research skills in applied linguistics and language teaching, advanced academic writing skills and a critical reviewer, curriculum developer and syllabus designer, and many more. His native language is Arabic, and he has native-like English proficiency, both spoken and written English. And Dr. Abdullah will present the material entitled Online EFL Reading and Writing Assessment. Okay, for Dr. Abdullah, time is yours.
Thank you very much, Raida, for this short bio. I hope everybody can hear me. How
Yes,
is
it's
my
clear.
voice, Raida? Clear?
Yes, it is clear enough. Clear enough, Dr. Abdullah.
Trying to share my slides, but I got a message there is an error sharing. Let me check. Oh, and there is an error sharing my slides.
The committee can help you to share your material.
But
Ibu
I
Gaya, please.
have to make.
The committee will be able to share your material.
Can you, I think I have to make it from here. It shows, is it shared now? Maybe I need to turn off my camera.
Not yet.
Not yet, Dr. Abdullah. You may try it again.
Yeah, trying to share my PPT slides.
Okay, we're waiting. That's okay.
Share?
Yes, please tell me if you want us to help you to share screen your slide. We have already had it.
Yeah, I edited it a bit, and I would like to share the ones that I have.
The co-host or the other committee, can you help Dr. Abdullah?
Yes, yeah, I will share Dr. Abdullah Al-Falah. Yeah, wait a moment, please.
The ones, okay, yeah, you can go ahead and share the one you have.
Yeah, I will share it. Wait a moment. Aduh, lambatnya.
This is about online reading and writing assessment, ya, Dr. Abdullah. We are waiting for this material, actually.
Yes. The same slides that I have shared before.
Yes.
I am supposed to be able to share. I'm supposed to share it from here, but I don't know.
Okay, that's okay. It is about a technical problem. The biography is very short, ya, Dr. Abdullah. You may later on add any additional information dealing with biography.
That is, I think, enough for a bio.
Yeah, you master Arabic and English well, yeah, both of them. And also Dr. Faya and also Pak Rusnadi, the three presenters, the bilingual one, Arabic and English. That's very good.
I may call a technician to help me sharing this.
Okay. Okay, we have it. Can you see it in your computer, Dr. Abdullah? Dr. Abdullah? Dr. Abdullah, please. Can you hear me?
السلام عليكم استاذ احمد. يا اخي لما تعمل شير مشاركه الشاشه في مشكله عندي. انت قريب هنا تجي تقدر تساعدني بشيء؟ يا اخي تظهر يعني لما اعمل شير سكرين تجي لي this will stop our screen sharing. اي بس يجي لي انه في كود او في خلل. يقول لي فشل مشاركه الشاشه.
Dr. Abdullah, the PowerPoint share.
لا معي باوربوينت بعمل لها شير من نفس الكمبيوتر عندي ما ضبطت.
Yeah, the participants please wait for a moment, yeah, because it is far from there. From Yemen, there will be technical problem. Dr. Abdullah, can you hear me, Dr. Abdullah? Dr. Abdullah has already informed the committee that there will be technical problem dealing with the Yemen condition nowadays. So the bandwidth is low and the network is unstable.
تسجيل ولا شو
Assalamualaikum, Dr. Abdullah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, we have your share here, yeah? Your PPT.
Yes.
Okay, okay now. Yeah. Okay, time is
Can you
yours,
hear
Dr.
me
Abdullah.
now? Well,
Yes, yes, we can. Yeah, time is
oh,
yours, Dr. Abdullah.
okay. Thank you very much for this solving this technical problem. Uh, Hello, everyone. I hope you are safe and sound during this pandemic. Thank you for the Department of Education, Uin Antasari, Banjarmasin, for organizing the webinar. The theme of this webinar, practical assessment and feedback for online classes, touches a real need in today's life. During the coronavirus lockdown, classroom teaching was interrupted for more than 5 months almost. So this webinar comes to support online teaching and to think of some practical assessment techniques. And in my session, I will be focusing on developing EFL reading and writing skills through online teaching and how we can best assess these skills online. So wouldn't be shut down even in the most serious cases like coronavirus. Again, much of our students' personal lives and professional lives will be online. Therefore, developing their online reading and writing is very essential. First and foremost, and writing is to engage them in substantial input and output. During the pandemic, a ton of free access reading materials have been online. I hope students put great effort to read them so they engage in lots of input. In this session, I will discuss first of all, goal to develop online reading fluency. If you can flip to the content slide, the content slide, the content slide, please, Raida.
Yes, Dr. Abdullah.
Yes.
Budaya, please click.
Am I pronouncing your name? Your name is Raida?
Yes,
Raida?
yes, that's right. Yes, Raida.
Okay. Raida means pioneering in Arabic.
Okay.
All right. So again, in this session, I will discuss goals, purposes of assessment, reading skills required to develop online reading fluency. I will explain some techniques to assess these skills online. I will explain aloud reading and rationale for developing this often ignored skill, then silent reading, vocabulary building, extensive and intensive reading, speed reading, on to discuss online writing assessment practices. I will talk about automated feedback, especially primarily as a case of point, and it is pros and cons, its features. Then we'll talk about online collaborative writing tasks online and MS Word track changes to offer online feedback and how it becomes update or how it becomes uptake to benefit students. Finally, I will conclude my speech with online tutoring or digital tutoring. Ryder, can you flip now to the reading?
Ibu Daya, please.
To
To co-host. Okay.
To goals and purposes. Goals and purposes for assessment.
Ibu Daya, goal and
It
purposes.
is worth noting
Goals and purposes.
not extensive waiting. Yeah, that is slide number 5. Slide 5, please. Up, go up a little. More up. Yes, again, up. Slide 5. Go up a little.
Up again, Ibu Daya.
Yeah. Slide number 5. It's noteworthy at the beginning. That is not the slide also. This slide that has goals, purposes, and means of assessment. Goals, purposes of assessment. It's very important. One more slide up. Yes, that slide.
Okay, thank you.
I have to emphasize at the very beginning that the following online assessment approaches or techniques that we will discuss are informal assessments. They barely are assigned any grades because they are online, and for the integrity of assessment that carries the score, it should be done in a testing center or in a university. But the upcoming techniques are informal assessments. They barely carry any weight or score. And if they do, a very, very low score can be assigned to these assessments. So they contribute minimally of the overall score. The following assessment techniques are low stake. They are intended to encourage learning. One of the purposes for assessment is to encourage learning. How we encourage students learning? By giving them informal assessment. And those informal assessments that we give them online do not contribute a lot to their score, because if we genuinely we want to assess our students and we give them high score or the substantial score of the course should be done under monitoring conditions in classroom or in a testing center. But the techniques that I will explain are informal. Yet, although they are informal, these assessments are informal they inform our teaching. These assessment techniques that we will discuss do inform our teaching, do inform our syllabus and our policy of the course. Online assessment give us insight into students' progress and give feedback to learners about their learning. Online assessment can be used to measure proficiency too. But for the purpose of integrity, this kind of assessment, proficiency assessment, should be administered in a certified testing services or in the university center. For optimal development of reading skill, students should undergo comprehensive and intensive assessment. I mean, online students should be given many reading tasks that tap into every single sub-skill of reading. Can you flip to slide 6, aloud reading? One of the sub-skills.
Yes.
Yes. One of the sub-skills that are often ignored in our syllabus is aloud reading. It's always misunderstood, and educators think if we are assessing aloud reading, we are assessing speaking, but still all the skills are English language skills are interrelated. So it is aloud reading is a necessary step for fluent silent reading. So it's a prerequisite for silent reading. Students will not be able to read silently in the proper speed without with comprehension if they are not able to read aloud, if they cannot read properly, if they cannot read aloud properly at the right speed, at the right pronunciation. Reading aloud also develops vocabulary recognition. Reading aloud develops vocabulary recognition, and it's a necessary step for speaking, as we said also. Yes, as I said, speaking and reading are interrelated. So we are testing aloud reading, we are also speaking. What are we teaching and what are we testing? So we are testing aloud reading in order to inform our teaching about the students' reading level. All of the 4 skills of English language are somehow interrelated. If we are testing aloud reading, we can also test speaking also at the same time. In addition to that, aloud reading is a prerequisite for silent reading and for vocabulary recognition, for word recognition. Technology has advanced in assessment and in assessing the sub-skills. How can we assess aloud reading online? Teachers may ask their students to make a video recording of a short passage or phrases, depending on the student's level. And then the teacher asks the students to share their recording. They may share it on any social media platform, maybe on a private message, WhatsApp. Students share their audio recording or video recording, reading aloud to the tutor, to the instructor, through maybe they to Facebook. They upload it to Facebook, record it, then edit it, and then share. Depending, based on the student's confidence, they may share their recording in a private message, or they may go live on Facebook. Some students are confident enough to go live and share their videos or their comments or their recording. Also, they may record and edit the recording before sharing it. Whatever the students feel comfortable with. To assess aloud reading, students can record either video recording or audio recording. They may record before or instant recording and share it with their instructor. So they don't have to come to class, and they keep social distancing during pandemic. They may share it in a private message or to a group. and then the teacher give focused feedback on the skill needed to be developed, whether pronunciation or speed reading or segmental features of pronunciation like intonation or stress. We give focused feedback on the student's recording. The second reading skill is vocabulary building. Can you flip slide to vocabulary building, please, Raida? Second slide. If we ask ourselves, how much do our students read? Second sub-skill is vocabulary. Have too limited vocabulary, and that is the main factor to reading difficulty that our students encounter. Therefore, online language courses should emphasize building strategies, building vocabulary repertoire. In order to develop our students' vocabulary online, there are different techniques that I would like to highlight. The first one is bilingual level tests, and these focus on the first 2,000 common words in the general service list. These tests test students' vocabulary, isolated vocabulary. It comes into two levels, and these tests use the students' first language to translate some vocabulary. And it focuses, as I said, in the first 2,000 common words, the general service list. It has 30 items to test the students' vocabulary, good enough for showing vocabulary proficiency. Luckily, these bilingual tests are available in Indonesian language also. So you guys can use these online. The teacher can mail them to the students or post them on a Facebook group or share them in a private message or in a group, in WhatsApp group. And the students do them, translate them, give the equivalent from their mother tongue, Indonesian, for example, or Arabic, and share them back. The second technique that we can use to assess our students, and these focus on the first 1,000 words in the general service list. It comes in 40 items. This test has 40 items and at two different levels, two different proficiency levels. And they test the students' vocabulary in context. They give the words in a sentence and ask the student, is it true or false? Again, we can share this on an email or to them, get them back without having to come to class. There are many online and offline apps and games to train students in vocabulary such as Duolingo or crossword puzzles. Duolingo is available also in different languages. It's available in Arabic, it is there. And it focuses on testing the students' vocabulary in mother tongue. It focuses on translation of vocabulary. It focuses on spelling. It focuses on pronunciation. It focuses on testing the students' vocabulary in context. It's a wonderful game. Unfortunately, I couldn't share my slides. I attached a picture from this wonderful game, but you can find it in Google or Play Store. Duolingo, Duolingo. The second game is the crossword puzzles. It's also available in different forms. If we move to extensive reading, can you please go ahead to extensive reading? The next slide. The third subskill, reading. What is the rationale for incorporating extensive reading into our syllabus of English? Some of our audience may ask, let's ponder on how much do our students read during class time? During class time, how much students get engaged in reading? 7 minutes, 8, 10 minutes a day? Most of the teaching or the speech in classroom is done by the teacher. By maximum, students may not do more than 15 minutes reading inside classroom. How much do students read beyond the classroom, beyond the prescribed texts? Not much also. Studies show that avid readers excel in reading performance. Extensive reading is meaningful. Graded readers with at least 95 to 98% of the vocabulary are familiar to them. So it can be simplified reading actually. Extensive reading focuses on meaning, where the students read for pleasure. And here, motivation is essential. In such kind of learning, students have to be motivated to read beyond the prescribed textbook. Usually, extensive reading is done outside classrooms. However, for reluctant learners, teachers may begin intensive reading programs during class time to train learners. After being hooked, learners can continue reading at their pace outside classroom. At the same time, as the name of extensive reading suggests, learners should do a lot of reading. At least they should read 25 graded readers a year. Average 1 or 2 graded readers a week. They continue reading for several years doing this. Oxford Bookworms series is a good series with so many interesting titles. Graded readers have a range of levels, beginning at around 300 to 500 words and advance to around 2,500 words. In Oxford Bookworms, there are 7 or 6 vocabulary levels. There are many other wonderful graded readers series also. For assessing extensive reading online, students may post their brief oral book reports in a private message to their teacher. They write a short report about the name of the book, what is the story about in brief. This doesn't have to be very detailed. You just give a brief overview, what is the book about, how the student enjoy reading the book, in order the purpose of oral book and to show that the student did the reading. Reading is discussion groups where students are assigned to groups and they may prepare a review about the book. They read or write a review for the book. So discussion group, as the students make, for example, WhatsApp group or Facebook group, and every group that has finished a book, they discuss discuss what is the book about, and they write a short report, or they may report it orally. The fourth reading skill or sub-skill is intensive reading. Can you write please, to extensive reading? Slide number 9 about intensive reading. Intensive reading is language focused. Intensive reading is so common in classroom teaching. This is what we are familiar with. When we teach reading skill, we usually do it intensively. There is a course and there are language features focused on. So they will be, students will be able to use these skills. We focus an intensive reading course on training students on reading strategies, scanning, skimming, language features like prefix, suffix, inferences, how to make inferences. We focus on comprehension, the details, the main idea, supporting details. We focus on vocabulary, and we focus also probably on vocabulary. And we have to focus on the high frequency vocabulary. Intensive reading skill focus on cohesion, how students are trained to understand the overall cohesive devices in a passage they read, how references are used, how conjunctions are used, what are additive relations, what are contrastive relations, like in addition. So this adds some more information. We focus on cohesion or cohesive devices in the passage. We also focus on information structure and genre feature. So, for example, the communicative purposes of a news report is different from the communicative purpose. An academic essay, where in academic essay we usually are arguing for a point, while in a news report it's just a coverage. In an extensive reading, we have to focus on these features. And so we train the students how to use these sub-skills when they read text. These abilities are reading comprehension questions. After there is a text, there is a reading comprehension, and we ask the students about, for example, what is the main idea of the passage, or what is the second main point in this report, like that.
Dr. Abdullah?
Regardless of drawbacks, yes?
Yeah, please allow me. Yeah, please allow me to mention that you still have 5 minutes left. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Then I have to rush. I have to rush in these. Then I will go to, after intensive reading.
Okay.
Can you flip over to speed reading?
Speed reading.
Speed reading, why? The rationale behind speed reading is it is a prerequisite for fluent reading. And fluency in reading is a prerequisite for proficiency reading that will take us to the second slide. If we go to proficiency reading. In today's, this picture is about IBT test. Speed reading is the key skill for passing proficiency reading. Proficiency reading is testing students' overall reading skills. It is not related to what the student learned in a course, but it is related to students' overall reading comprehension. Students overall, and without speed reading, with proper comprehension, students cannot take IELTS or TOEFL. These are always assessed in a testing center. Testing center like ETS and IELTS tests. What are the reading abilities behind proficiency reading? Can you flip over to the next slide? Proficiency reading usually tests fluency, speed, automaticity, knowledge, morphological knowledge, syntactic knowledge, text structure, and all this whole list. These are the skills that are tested in proficiency. Without training our students in online courses, we have to train students on these skills in order to get ready for taking IELTS or TOEFL, which is standardized and becoming more globally accepted for admission in universities. Can you please flip over to automated feedback? Raida, can you please? Thank you. I think very quickly, in a nutshell, developing reading online should be involving students in extensive, intensive reading courses wherein they have to undergo comprehensive assessment of their skills using some of the techniques that we mentioned. In order to develop writing skill, the same thing, there is no shortcut to develop L2 writing or EFL writing. And online, the students may not have easy access to the teacher, so there are some technological tools that we can use in order to get feedback. The first tool, online tool that is widely used is Grammarly. And I'm sure many of the audience have used this wonderful app or extension. It has, these are the features. So it's automated. The computer gives you feedback. It is underlined with some alternative correction, but it is not a panacea to any error of the students. I run out of my time, right, Raida? Raida?
Okay, 1 minute left.
Well, what is the most important about, there's so many. Just I will finish with automated feedback.
Okay.
I will just finish with Grammarly. As I said, online students do not have easy access to the teacher, but luckily, technology offers us some easy access for Grammarly. Grammarly is an app or it's an extension where it gives feedback on grammar correction, such as fragments, subject-verb agreement, spelling, synonyms, verb form. So it highlights these errors in the student writing, and it provides some alternative corrections. However, it's not a panacea for all errors. and it is not without uh, limitation. Grammarly comes in free and premium version. Monthly prescription for the premium version is about $29 or $30, which I feel many of our students cannot afford. And the free version offers very limited feature. As you see, it is basically Grammarly is basically grammar checker. The free version is for checking grammar, but it's better than nothing. So Grammarly is very helpful for checking feedback for the students, but it needs advanced level of the students because when it gives alternative, unless the student understands the feedback option, not the one highlighted, they have to understand why Grammarly highlight this error. In this, I will stop here, and writer, sorry for crossing my time.
That's okay. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Abdullah. Okay, let's me wrap up his presentation. In his presentation, he pinpoints some online reading skills like intensive reading, extensive reading, and then he also described about speed reading and the component of abilities that usually is tested in reading proficiency test, right? And Dr. Abdullah also mentioned about
Yes.
game like Duolingo. We may check it out later, and then crossword puzzle. And he ends his presentation by elaborating about Grammarly application. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Abdullah. Okay, thank you very much. And
Pleasure of
then,
mine.
yeah, let's move on to the second presenter. She's the female one, the one and only, Dr. Rukayah Nasser Muafa, MA. Dr. Rukayah Muafa is an assistant professor at Jazan University who enjoys teaching to university level students. She received her PhD from the University of Memphis, where she worked as a teaching assistant and a tutor at the Writing Center for 2 years and a half. She also enjoyed working with young students for the last 2 years as a scoring appraiser at the Destination Imagination Tournament. And Dr. Rukaya is a powerful force in the workplace and uses her positive attitude and tireless energy to encourage others to work hard and succeed. Dr. Rukaya is inspired daily by her family, who makes her life full of fun and activities. And in her free time, Dr. Rukaya likes to hang out with her friends, read, and learn new skills. Okay. And today, after Dr. Abdullah, we are going to hear with Dr. Rukaya. She will share with us the ideas dealing with using technology to assess ESL students in the era of online learning. Okay, be ready, participants. To Dr. Rukaya, please take your time.
Thank you, Raida, for that amazing
Yes,
introduction. I'm
my pleasure.
trying to share the PowerPoint. Please allow me a few seconds to find it. Okay. I don't know. Maybe I'm going through the same problem that Dr. Abdullah
It's already
had.
appears on the screen.
There.
You
Okay.
can see it. Yes,
Okay.
it's clear. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Excuse me, Dr. Kaya. Dr. Kaya, can you hear my voice? It seems that we cannot hear you clearly now. Dr. Kaya, can you hear me? Excuse me, Dr. Kaya.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Alhamdulillah. Yes, it's clear. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry, I don't know what happened. I'm sorry.
Okay, go on.
You still hear me, right?
Oh, great.
Okay. So as I said, there are something to be said for the old-fashioned paper and pencil method. However, our focus here is on the new technology and how they're evolving daily to assist teacher with the task of teaching and assessing students. So what is the assessment? Assessment is simply the process of gathering information on what students know based on their educational experience. So the assessment results are typically used to identify areas for improvement of students and to ensure that course content meets learning needs and outcomes, and it meets whatever students need to get from the class. So there are two types of assessment. We have formative assessment, which occur within an online course or lesson and are used to determine how well a student is learning the materials. They are best when they are ongoing, consistent, and provide critical feedback to learners. We have also summative assessment, which are sometimes referred to as a final exam, and that's what is known between the students. We use the final exam or the summative assessment to measure what the students has learned after completing a course. They can validate how well your content support the course overall learning goal, how well students achieve the goals of you, how good they grasp and understand the materials that you gave them throughout the semester or the period of time that you're trying to test. So why assessment? Obviously, assessments are about more than just grades. When meaningful and well constructed, they help students gear up for success by challenging them to reflect, interact, apply their knowledge to answer questions, solve problems, communicate information. So there are a number of practices you can use to evaluate students mindfully. We have so many ways, and the best method will vary based on learning's needs and objectives that we as teachers set for our students. So for example, an online quiz will be you or my or everybody's perfect match if the goal is to measure knowledge gains quickly. However, if we want to test our students' interview skills, we should of using dialect simulation. So we test them or we assess them based on the need that we think are important and we need to focus on. So here I'm going to talk about 9 of the most common used assessment method that would help in assessing our students. And the first one is online quizzes. For quizzes, as we know, they are traditional assessment tools. They're nothing new that we just came up. They've been there for so long time. In the meantime, we just try to change them to meet our nowadays needs. So when they are paired with technology, they are excellent way to engage students learning. They can take a number of forms, such as multiple choice, fill in the blanks, and hotspots. So they have so many beneficial, they are really beneficial method or tool that can help us. So the benefit of quiz is that they are short and easy to assess. We can order and the questions the way we can them. We can randomize them so we can have the same question, but they can come in a randomized way. So each students have a unique quiz. They would think that they are different and it would be hard for them to cheat. Online quizzes are ideal for measuring learning results across a wide audience. Each students can take the same test. They can compare and contrast results across different class, school, or community. We can see how well they did, although the student didn't know that they had the same quiz. We also have an ungraded online quiz, which can be given prior to start of the lesson, and we can ask students to join that type of quiz just to gain the baseline measurement of the students' existing knowledge. We can see how good they are, what type of knowledge they have already, and that what we need to know about our students. So how can I create an online quiz? There are so many different ways, but here I'm gonna talk about one way, and they are very easily to create using any online authoring tools kit. But here I have the example of iSpring Suite. For iSpring Suite includes a quiz maker tool that over more than 14 questions type. We simply need to choose the appropriate template to put together a quiz for our students quickly and easily. We can enhance the test by providing detailed answer feedback, adding info slides to the students, create individual learning path, depending on how well each student is performing on the quiz. So we can give them feedback right after the quiz by viewing their answers. We can add the feedback to each answer. So whenever they pick any answer, they would find the feedback once they finish from the quiz. Another type of assessment can be an open-ended and essay questions. So the open-ended or essay type questions are one of the most popular qualitative assessment method. They prompt learners to explore their thought, feelings, opinion, while we are testing their overall comprehension of the topic. The only problem with this type of online quiz or online questions is that it required us a longer time to correct their answer, to grade their answers, and it also required students longer time to think, organize, and compose their answers. The benefit of this type of questions, it encourages students to critical think about their answer, to evaluate their thought, to see what is the right answer to include in this type of questions. A student would panic a little bit because they would start thinking about what if the time is not enough for us to answer the question, what if we don't get the right form of answers, what if we have grammatical problem or something. But it also gives us the opportunity to really test our students. How can I create an open-ended questions or assessments? It's easily and can be found on iSpring Suite. It just needs us to focus on the way we want to score the online questions. It would require us to create our own rubric to assess a time, like we specify time to sit there and read their answers and see what they wrote. That's the only problem with it. Although I don't see it's a problem, I see it as a way of being able to communicate well with our students and read their thought and their way of thinking. For the second way of assessment, we have, or the third way, we have a drag and drop activity. For drag and drop activity, it's a type of assessment that show learners' ability to link information and apply knowledge to solve a practical problem. We can incorporate both image and text in a drag and drop activity. We can give students a real world feel that is both challenging and engaging at the same time. And it's also fun for them. It's essential to use this assessment type when we want learners to be able to apply knowledge in a real life situation. Like we give them, here I'm giving you just a simple image of it. We can make it harder based on our students. Like we can make it a longer text, a paragraph or something, and ask students to connect them or drag them to the right box, which is fun and challenging at the same time. I also thought about how to create it, which is easily. I found so many ways to create that, but the easiest way that I found is iSpring 3, which provide a drag and drop template that allow us as teacher to move text, image, and shape to specific place on the page. It also create an assessment that we need to upload image if we want, questions template, anything we want, and then simply identify the drop target. So we just tell it how we want the answer to be, and it's done. We can find the quiz easily there. Another way of assessing our students is through online interviews, and we can incorporate video conference within our online teaching to give learners a more personal touch. We can use it during brief online interviews where students can demonstrate their proficiency in language or other courses. For example, where mastery of a specific skill is an important requirement, we can sometimes ask students to be beneficial to conduct a group interview. We can ask them for a team project, for example, to come all together in the same place, and we can interview them together and see how they interact with us. We can build based on their answers. We can see how they communicate with us, what their answer, and based on that we can assess and see how well they are cooperating with each other. It can also monitor component and enable students to get immediate feedback from us. Like we listen to them, and when we think that they need feedback from us, we would be easily to answer them and to tell them as they finish their interviews what we realized on them, what they should work on more, and that is can be feel more give them the feeling of responsibility of their work. How to create an online interview? Um, it's like today meeting is a good example of how we were able to use technology in conducting interviews. Like we can use Zoom, and it's really amazing tool. Also, we have Microsoft Teams, which is another tool to use. And for the best result, we need to take the time to plan our interview, to set the time, to know when it should begin and when it should end, which allow the online learners to see how they can organize their ideas, how they can start their interview. I see that my PowerPoint is going faster, maybe because I'm so worried to not be in the same situation as Dr. Abdullah.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah, so I'm trying to, yeah. We have also the dialogue simulation. Um, it's known that the dialogue simulation is a way to train learners for real life conversation with the colleague, with teachers, with the customers. We want them to leave the situation, to imagine themselves in there. So, when creating a conversation activity based on a situation that students may face on their job, we need to let them know what to expect and provide a safe place to practice their reaction and responses. So, dialogue simulation is a really good way where we can help our students master like teaching skills or customer service skills or whatever skills we want them to master. We also can use it to test how well they are prepared for job interview, for teaching situation. So the activity can be a good learning support tool for see them how to act, and we want them to refresh their skills that they didn't use them for a long while. So in that situation, they would find themselves forced to live in that situation and to answers and to try to simulate the real life situation. For that, and we can create it through using simple slides, but it will be very hard and it will take very long time if we decided on just using the PowerPoint. There are some specific tools like iSpring Talkmaster, which is a part of iSpring's free e-learning toolkit. It allows you to design a conversation, sim quick and easily. It can require you just to start maybe mapping out the scenario you want to create. It wants you to think over the scenario and script, choose a suitable character and location from built-in library, or upload your own, and create a dialogue with iSpring by offering learners a choice of responses and giving feedback. And this type of quiz, learners will get points for correct answer and lose points for inaccurate ones. So it's exactly like the normal quiz, just it make them to create their situation and be able to simulate a dialogue, and that's really good for them. Also, there is another way, which is an online polls. The polls allow us to capture feedback directly from the audience about their learning experience. They can be used to measure anything from learning certification. And I found the Kirkpatrick Level 1 feedback is what we're looking for. Um, and it also can be used to answer why students made particular choice during the lesson. So it can be engaging for the learners because it allows them to share their opinion, make themselves heard, and compete to answers or any way we want to use it in the class. Me personally, I use it with my students, and I found that they would act quickly with my questions because they would feel like we need our answers, and they would be happy when they see other students picking the same answers as them, when they say their answers going higher. It's fun. I tried it with my students and I realized that they enjoyed it. Um, they can be used when we want to quickly grab and focus our learners' attention on something important, or to break the ice during the online group interview session, or we can just want it for fun for students. So we don't want our classes to be boring, especially with distance learning. We don't know what students are doing on the other side, so we want them to be engaged with us all the time. So making these such activities would guarantee that students are here with us. How can we create them? If we host a webinar via web conference in solution, or if we have a classroom with our students, we can use built-in tool for conducting polls. Like there are some specialized online platform for that, such as Survey Monkeys, that allow us to create, send, and analyze surveys. We also can use any e-learning authorized tools such as iSpring 3. I always mention it here because it's easily found for everybody, unlike Blackboard, which is only for organization and universities. So if we're not able to use Blackboard, we're able to use iSpring 3 easily. All we have to do is to choose any ready-made questions template supported by the quiz makers, and add the questions and the answers that we want the students to go for, and that's it. It's there for the students to make. We also have game type activities, which is really fun, and it can turn a series of test questions into games. For example, I found a trivia game which asks learners to answer a certain number of questions within a period of time, and award point based on the number of correct answers. So it tests how speed they can read, or how speed they can comprehend any question, and they can get the points of based on how speed their answers, or on number on the correct answers that they had. For the game-based assessment, it can consider fun and not test, although at the same time it's testing our student. They are a good indicator of true skills, that knowledge that students have, because they're trying to answer quickly, they're trying to have fun, and that is helping us to see what their real skills are. They're not in a panic, they're not feeling the atmosphere of testing and something like that. Besides, they have been shown to enhance learning by promoting the development of non-cognitive skills. The students would involve in risk-taking activities, they would involve in problem solving, and they would show us how they are able to answer any questions. For students and for schools, it have found that games type activities works well with students, and it helps students to be able to engage in the activities without thinking about what if we get the right or wrong answer. How to create them? I found that Quizlet and Kahoot are really good popular application that we can use to create fast-paced interactive learning game. Quizlet especially allows teachers to create study set of online flashcards for learning themes and definitions. I also found Kahoot that is a really good tool to build engaging quizzes, and it let me score points by answering quickly and correctly. So it's very good way. I also found so many other apps like Gymkit, Formative, Bill Clickers. If you want them, I can write them later for you to see them. They're really good to use them to create game and to make very phenomenal experience to the classroom. Another way to evaluate our students is through peer evaluation and review. It's usually like for peer evaluation turns the tables to what learners into the instructor's seat. It allows students to review and edit each other works, and it's fun and good for students when they feel that way. It's not good to keep our classes always teacher centered. When we use peer evaluation, we're making it a completely student centered atmosphere. And these such activities give students a chance to reflect on their knowledge and then communicate their feedback in the consistent and structured way. And that's what we want for our students. How to create it? I found third-party platforms such as Turnlet and Feedback Studio, and I found also Google. Uh, Google has a really good tools to enable students to read and review and evaluate one or more paper stimulated by their classmate using rubric or prescribed assessment questions. So here we ask students to create their rubric and they give it to us. We see their rubric, and based on that, we tell them, okay, you can go and evaluate your classmate paper. I found in Google Tools, we were able to see our students at the same time evaluating each other, and it's fun and engaging activity at the same time. Um, However, for this tool, we as teachers should map out and clearly explain the step for students to be review and evaluate the paper for their classmate. We want to make sure that they have the right rubric, they have the right guideline for them that they should follow, and if we have everything from the beginning, it would be like helpful for both of us. For us as the teacher, we found our students are helping us by grading each other paper. We don't need to pay attention to them, and we don't have to read a lot because our students are doing that for us. And at the same time, students are learning because they're following the rubric. We're there just to monitor them to see what they're doing, and they're at the same time doing everything for us. And lastly, I found the forum post to be a very good way to test our students or to assess our students, because as we all know, forum is an online discussion board organized around a topic that we choose. We ask students to contribute to a forum post, which is an excellent way to uh, gauge their understanding, PQ their interests, support their learning. We see how well they are engaged with the topic. So in this activity, students are given a critical thinking questions based on the listen or the reading that we assign them. We ask them to reflect on the reading or the listen. In that way, uh, they post their answer, their feedback, whatever their thoughts, and at the same time, their peers are given the chance to respond, to give their opinion about what their classmate or the other students are saying. So using this method allows students to interact, to communicate, to collaborate as part of the learning process, and at the same time, we can check their comprehension of the topic. When we see how they understood the topic, we can see how they are able to engage and cooperate with their students, other students, uh, and that's a really good tool. How to create it? So for this one, I found LMS is a really good way. I also found some external platform like ActivePort is a really good way to do that, and that was good tool for me to identify the common topic or theme that we can align message to. We can set the participation goal and guideline that explain acceptable as standard for posting. So we can tell students, for example, be respectful of other, avoid full language or personal criticism or something like that. We set the limitation for students. We tell them try to not exceed this or to not go beyond the topic. You need to be respectful. Like we tell them whatever we want them, because as we know, if the students get the full chance for them to do whatever they want, sometimes they would start chatting about different topic. They would start thinking about their artist, about anything else. So we always try to keep their attention to the topic and remind them that we are there, we're reading whatever you're writing, so please be respectful. We also should review their posting on a regular basis, and we should give them constructive feedback or guidance, so we know that they are not going beyond the topic. These are the 9 methods that I thought were helpful during the crisis, and I think we got the benefit of the crisis to um, shift the focus to the online and to start using technology in our classes, which are really fun. So they are good way. And for the final thought, I just want to remind myself and you guys that online assessment are a critical part of e-learning and should be undertaken with the same level of care that we put into creating our learning content. We always need to remember that you don't have to be a programming genius to build online assessment, where we don't have to be genius. We just be able to use one of the many software tools that allowed you to generate engaging tasks. We just need to be careful and choose the right way to assess our students' learning and choose the right tool to align our needs and our focus with the result that we want to achieve from our students. That's the only thing that we need. And that's it for today. And I hope I didn't exceed my time limit. And I tried to go. Yeah. Thank you for allowing me to be here today. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Rukaya, to be a nice presentation for us today. And then in her attractive presentation, we have already shared the practical definition of assessment and then tips and tricks to create the assessment, especially the online one. And then steps to create online quizzes, open-ended assessment, online interviews, dialogue simulation, up to a forum post-assessment activity. Okay, you also mentioned about Kahoot and then Quizlet and many more. Thank you very much, Dr. Kaya. Okay.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And then this will be the last but not least, the presenter, the third one. And the third presenter is Rusnadi Alikasan MA. He is the professional lecturer of Uin Antasari Banjarmasin. He got a MA degree in TESOL at Murray State University, Murray, Kentucky, USA. And now he is an awardee of Mora 5.000 Doctor Scholarship under the Directorate of Islamic Higher Education for a PhD TESOL at Alien International University, San Diego, California, USA. And his recent research report entitled Foundations of Second Language Acquisition, Strategies and Motivation of Banjarese Young Learners in EFL. And now, he will share his ideas with us dealing with authentic and effective assessment and feedback for EFL online classes. Okay, to Mr. Rusadi Alikasan, you have 30 minutes, please. Time is yours. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mrs. Raida, Ibu Raida Aspihana, for the time and allow me to speak before you all. And can you hear my voice?
Yes, it's clear.
Yes, it is clear. Okay, good. Okay, I should really appreciate my colleague, Dr. Ruqayyah Muafa, and also Dr. Abdullah Al-Falah. Both of them are my friends while we took a master degree at Murray State University in Kentucky. Okay, thank you very much for joining us this morning, Saudi time and Yemen time, and also afternoon and almost evening in Indonesia time. Okay. Thank you for the committee for inviting me to speak about this topic, practical assessment and feedback for online class. So today I would like to talk about authentic assessment and authentic and effective assessment feedback for EFL online classes. And this what I would like to give you information about. The first one is about assessment and feedback, and then continue with the authentic assessment and feedback, and then effective assessment and feedback. And the last one is best practices of assessment and assessment and feedback, and for sure concluding remark. Okay. As Dr. Ruqayyah has already mentioned before, and she explained well about the assessment, it is an activities designed for testing or knowing students' competencies or skill in regard with the learning goals, objectives of a specific course, while at the same time it also gives students opportunity to improve their learning. For teachers, for the students improve their learning, and for the teachers and instructors for informing or knowing their teaching practice. So assessment is good. And sometimes our students is afraid of assessment, and that is not good for us, because it's not a punishment, it's not a judgment. So we just want to know the progress of the learning process, what the student has achieved. And also for us, for teachers, instructors, and lecturer, it's inform the progress of teaching practice. And then the feedback, it is a fundamental learning and teaching activity that has a significant impact on student learning and achievement. And as such, as is important function of assessment, it provides students with important information about the current performance and how to improve in the future. So comparing to assessment, feedback is something that we give to our students to improve. The comment, the written comment or oral comment that helps students to improve themselves in order to achieve the learning goals. Okay. Now let's see some definition from some experts on this topic. Assessment is the process of firstly gathering evidence and secondly interpreting the evidence in the light of some defined criterion in order to form a judgment. So here we can see that when we do the assessment, we gather information, we gather evidence, and then interpret the evidence. Sometimes we do the test and also give the student assignment. And then after giving them the test and assignment, we have to measure what we gave, and that is we try to interpret how do the students respond to the assignment or the question we gave to them, and lastly giving the judgment whether or not the student pass or still continue to learn. And then assessment is central to learning, and it's not just about teaching or measuring learning. It's a key part of the whole learning process. So a teaching and learning process might not good or cannot be said that it is a good or better learning teaching process if there is no assessment, there is no feedback, there is no evaluation after the teaching and learning process. And so that's why it is said that this is the key part of the learning process. But for me, I think that it's related to the learning goals and objective. So learning goal and objectives will define how we assess the students. And then according to Legeda, assessment can be seen as an effective medium for communication between the teacher and the learner. It is a way for the student to communicate their learning to their teacher and for the teacher to communicate back to the student in a commentary on their learning. So there is a dialogic process here. Student get what should they get, and then the teacher then they respond back to the teachers, and then the teacher give the response again. This assessment is an ongoing process aimed at improving student learning and is typically used to describe processes using to examine the student's learning result from academic program. So it's not only at the end. Dr. Rukaya and also Dr. Abdullah has already mentioned about that, and I believe that you have already clear enough about the term. And then feedback is an information provided by an agent. Okay, teacher, peer, books, parents, self, or experience regarding aspect of one's performance or understanding. So teachers, students, parents can give feedback about the teaching and learning process. And sometimes we encourage, I especially encourage my students to do the self-assessment or self-reflection and even peer assessment. And then feedback is the most important feature of assessment. So here we can see and we can understand that feedback is a feature of assessment. It is part of assessment. as it is provide students with a statement of their learning and advice about how to improve. Okay, feedback is widely touted as one of the most important elements for promoting successful students learning. Here we can see and we can understand that actually we must give our student the feedback, and sometimes uh, uh, we can also give negative feedback or instead of positive feedback, because negative feedback can also give the student some enlightenment to do what she has or he has to do. Um, that is good. And then feedback is, I like this one, a dialogic process in which learners make sense of information from various sources, use it to enhance the quality of their work or learning strategies. So it's not a monologue, it's a dialogic process. Um, Previously, the previous presenter has already mentioned about model learning system, learning management system (LMS). By having this kind of platform application for online learning, we can share the kind of dialogic process of feedback. So there is a continuation, an ongoing process of feedback, or maybe we can also give the feedback by using the WhatsApp personally, or by group through Wax, or even by email. So we can give the feedback on students writing, for example, or journals or portfolios about the things that they have done for completing assessment or assignment. Now let me talk a bit more about type of assessment. Here, I would like to explain about assessment for learning, which is formative, and then assessment as learning, and then assessment of learning, which is summative. And you can see from the screen that assessment for learning usually assess students' progress and learning needs. So it's based on what the students need, and then before we design or create a learning goal or learning objective, then we have to do the need assessment, and this is the most important things, because by doing so, we can know how to assess the student. So learning objective in goal is the most important thing, is a parameter for us to give assessment or feedback to our students. And then students are involved in the assessment process. So in assessment for learning or formative assessment, students should be involved in the process of assessment. One of the example is peer assessment or self-assessment or self-reflection. Descriptive feedback is essential in creating learning strategies. So when we assess the students for this purpose, we give the student descriptive explanation. For example, you do a great job, but you need to improve on several aspects like your grammar and maybe vocabulary, word choices, and so on. So that is the things that we do for our students to improve their learning strategies. Or sometimes I just give my student motivation, like for example, um, please, if you want to have a good English, then try to use your time for about 15 minutes to practice speaking, practice listening, practice reading, and also practice writing. Why 15 minutes? Because our mind, our brain can only focus for about 15 minutes. And after that, then, okay, we might disrupt by some other things like our smartphone and gadgets. Okay. Teacher and student work together to improve student learning. So yes, it is not a single or what's that direction. It's a mutual understanding, mutual relationship, and mutual benefit from teachers and students. It's continuous process, increase learning motivation, provide clear learning target for the students. Now move on to assessment is as learning. Assessment is learning is where the students can learn from the assessment. One of them is like self-reflection or self-assessment. Assessment assess students' cognition about their learning. So yeah, here they are assessed in how they think, how they understand, how they comprehend about a topic or about a theory. Students are actively involved in monitoring and assessing their learning. This is what we don't frequently do here in Indonesia, that our students would know the result of their assessment. When we do the test, for example, then the test is not immediately, the result of the test is not immediately returned to the students. So then the student might not know what they have already been achieved. And then teacher shows students how to do self-assessment. What I do frequently is that because I'm teaching methodology of teaching at the faculty, at the department, then I frequently ask my students to do self-reflection after their teaching and learning process. So when they do the teaching demonstration, I ask them to evaluate, to assess themselves, saying what they have done and what they have, what they don't, and what are the strengths and what are the weaknesses they have while completing while having their teaching demonstration. Also, this is a continue or an ongoing process. So assessment as learning is also like the assessment for learning. Teachers guide students and sit in setting learning goals. Here, what we usual what we do is that when we decide or create or design our learning goal and objective, we work with the student, maybe asking them by having like interview for couple of students, or another things that we can do like giving them a survey question just to know what they need, or simply in the classroom at the beginning of the lesson, before we continue the next teaching and learning process, then we can just have a little chit chat with our student in the classroom and asking them, what do you need, what do you want to come to this class, for example. And this is will give us a clear understanding about what the students really need to learn. So then students assist their own learning. This is good, and for them, for the student, when we do this kind of assessment, that giving them was that a trust to assess themselves. For example, in speaking class, or we can ask the student to assess themselves. What what are the things that what are the mistake they have done, or maybe what are the weaknesses they have, and also the strengths they have already made. So that's good for them, and it is improve students learning and motivation. By having this kind of things, students are given opportunities to evaluate, to assess, and also to prize themselves in and they are like really appreciated by the teacher. So giving them opportunity to assess themselves is good. And an assessment of learning, assess what students have learned, and this is a summative assessment or summative evaluation, and usually this is done at the end of the lesson. Students are not directly involved in the assessment process, so teacher will decide what the student will do. But this assessment will certify students' competencies or competence, because by doing this, then they will know, or they will pass to the next level of competency or not. And later on, I will talk about the taxonomy of Bloom's, so that they have like 6 level of cognitive domain. Then it's my increase and decrease learners' motivation, because this is like it. Well, it should not actually a judgment, but by doing this, then we have to judge whether the student pass or not on the course, or go to the next level or not. So this is will demotivate the students. while they know that they got like B or C grade or maybe 60 or 70, then some students who has like lower motivation, then they will demotivated by these kind of things, but some others not. So it's depend on the students themselves whether they will openly accept what they have done or not. And I frequently tell my students, if you want to have a good mark or a good score or a best result, then do the best that you can do. If you don't do that, then I don't know. The score is not mine. The score is yours, and it's depend on you. That's what I always tell my students. Um, Promoting ranking or sorting sub students. So yes, we will know who are smart and who are led to smart. I don't want to say that they are fool or they are stupid or not smart, but they are led to smart because learning is a process, and maybe they led to understand something. They don't know how to work, or maybe they don't understand the assignment or the task given by the teacher. um, Reveal students level of understanding, yes, of course. um, yeah, by having this kind of assessment, then we will know their level of understanding. Emphasize accountability to meet standards. Yeah, for these things that we frequently do this summative assessment or assessment of learning for meeting the standard of a program, and what is the level or the minimum score that the student should achieve. Okay, go on to the next. So I will be.
I'm sorry, Pak Rusnadi. I'd like to remind you this is about 5 minutes left.
Oh my God, I have some more.
I am so sorry. This already 30 minutes.
Okay, informal feedback. I don't want to do this to explain this again, because feedback is there is formal feedback, formative feedback, summative feedback, student fair feedback, student soft feedback, and constructive feedback. This is I would like to emphasize on constructive feedback, because this is good for the student. So it should be specific, issue focused, and based on observation. So specific to what we want to assess. Okay, then principle of assessment. All the assessment tasks need to be aligned directly to demonstrate the achievement of intended learning outcomes. And assessment tasks need to be supported by the learning and teaching activities within the course. Assessment must encourage and reinforce learning and maintain academic standard. Here, what we have to do is doing some checking on plagiarism, or doing some improvement on what's that the standard of score that the students have to do to achieve. Assessment must enable to robust and fair judgment about students' performance. So, yeah, sometimes it is subjective, but we have to do the assessment as objective as possible. So, fair judgment is recommended. Assessment practice must be fair and equitable for all students. Now let's see authentic assessment. It is an assessment requiring students to use the same competencies, combination of knowledge, skills, attitudes that they need to apply in critical situation in professional life. So it assists competency, real life, and meaningful. So that is the authentic assessment in feedback. And for the characteristic, the authentic assessment asks students to perform, create, produce, or do something like speaking or writing or doing some journal report or something. And then use tasks that represent meaningful instructional activities. Creating a video for speaking class is a good assignment to assess and the student, and then we can give them the feedback on what they have done. And top higher level thinking and problem solving. So it's create it asks the student to think critically on higher level thinking, like evaluation or evaluating or synthesizing or even creating something. So it give the student how to solve the problem. That is the characteristic of authentic assessment. It invoke real world application. So what we have to do is do not ask the student to work on the things or the assignment beyond their mind. So it should be realistic and what have they experienced in their daily life. For example, when we ask the student to what's that to learn about descriptive text, sometimes teachers just use the what's that the book from for exercise or for assignment, and then ask them to translate and then read the article or the reading passage on the book, on that assignment book, and then ask them to answer the questions. So that is not real and that is not good. We can change the descriptive tag, for example, describing place. Then we can ask the student to use some pictures they have they have in their environment to describe things like mosque or church or maybe a beautiful place like beach, um, uh, to describe the things. Like here in South Kalimantan, we have like floating market or pasar terapung. Then just ask the student to take pictures of pasar terapung and then ask him or her to describe about pasar terapung. And here,
Minutes to go, Panadi.
how many
Sorry,
minutes?
2 minutes left.
Minutes left. This is what I have already mentioned before. So, according to Bloom's theories about the taxonomy, the cognitive taxonomy, there are 6 levels: remember, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. So, when we create was that authentic assessment, so we should create the assessment that is force the student to have order thinking skills or what higher order thinking skills. Hot, and I'm very hot. Doing this application, remembering and understanding is not enough. So applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating, that is the focus of creating authentic assessment. How to develop authentic assessment? Identifying learning objectives. I taught you before that this is the cornerstone of our assessment. Define relevant tasks, what student will actually do this is starting with the verb on our learning objective. Student will be able to describe, student will be able to write, student will be able to demonstrate. That is the word that we have to use while creating our learning objectives. So in measurement, we will be able to be objectively measure and create the authentic the assessment on, and also give them the feedback. Identify essential performance of criteria. What we want, what kind of mastery, 70% of accuracy and fluency, or what else? So that is the criterion that we have to do. And then develop rubric. In our lesson plan, teachers are asked to meet rubric, but then we simply copy paste others, and this is not actually support the learning objective and also the teaching and learning process. And then at the end, then we have not good or lack of assessment tools in our lesson, in our teaching and learning process. Now, give me a couple more minutes. Effective assessment is designed to determine learners' level of understanding and skill development in order to plan. And it is used multiple assessment method, shift from traditional one to authentic one based on assessment criteria on rubric. And then effective assessment and feedbacks are valid, fit the student's background, are understandable, communicate high expectation, and lower emotional barriers. So yeah, as I taught you that when we give the assessment to the students, then we tend to be subjective, not objective. And then to benefit student learning, assessment and feedback need to be constructive, timely, and meaningful. Constructive here highlights strengths and weaknesses, encourage critical thinking, help learning in new ways, increase satisfaction, promote dialogue between teachers and student. Timely is still fresh in student mind before the students move on to subsequent tasks. Yes, we give them immediately the result of assessment and feedback. Meaningful, target individual needs, be linked to specific assessment criteria, and be received by student in time to benefit subsequent work. So students have some beneficial work or some beneficial result from the assessment we give them. This effective assessment and feedback guides students to adapt and adjust their learning strategies. So when we give them good or effective assessment and feedback, then they will be able to adapt their learning strategies. Guide teachers to adapt and adjust teaching to accommodate students' learning needs. So we as a teacher also can manipulate our teaching and learning strategies based on the learning needs of the student, because everything we do is starting from the goal and objective, the teaching and learning process. Within the teaching and learning process, we have like media, materials, evaluation and assessment. So that should be in one direction. Guide students become independent and self-reflective learners. And it is efficient. Okay. Now let me show you some best practice. Assessing academic content knowledge. When we assess our student on academic content knowledge, that we don't have to use assessment that are less dependent on language proficiency, because what we want to assess is about the content, not the proficiency one. Assess in the same way students are taught demonstration, create of a product, speech-based written product. So here is the example, the grade report card. So we can do. So this is adapted from that. Assessment for learning, student reflection. So student reflection give us good assessment types for them to reflect themselves. Anecdotal note taking. So we can ask the student to take note on anecdote, something like that, and then we assess them on how they done and how they do on that. And conversation with students.
1 more minute, Terus Nadi, please.
Okay. Conversation with students. Do the conversation. Dr. Rukaya has already mentioned about that what we do like this is a kind of things that we can do with our students. In online classes, we can do by LMS or WAX, the conversation, but in written. Sometimes we might also call them like using Zoom meeting platform. Learning journal. Ask students to do this because it's good for them to know their progress and to know what they have done and they have not done. And informal conversation, compressing, having impromptu conversation, and making note afterwards. So yeah, ask students to talk immediately in front of the class, or maybe when we have this crisis, then we can ask students to record themselves to speak immediately, or making or create impromptu conversation, even only by voice or making video. Assessment of learning, we can do the portfolio, student self-assessment rubric, checklist, and checklist and rating scales. I'm so sorry I could not explain you more because of the time limit. And the last thing, nothing we do to or for our student is more important than our assessment of their works and the feedback we give them on it. The result of our assessment influence students for the rest of their life. We all need people who give us feedback. That's how we improve. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Bapak Rusnadi Alikasan. It is interesting, to have the feedback of assessment. In his presentation, he shares the idea of 3 types of assessment and then the criteria of authentic assessment, right? And then he also pinpoints the difference between authentic and inauthentic assessment. And furthermore, he elaborates about principles of feedback to benefit the students in learning. Okay, thank you very much for the 3 presenters. And then we will go into the question and answer sessions, but unfortunately, due to the time limit, we cannot invite you to directly ask your questions in Zoom, but we have already had many questions in the chat box, whether it is in Zoom and also in YouTube. So, and I will only for this first session only write 3 questions. There are many questions actually, and then there will be 1 questions first for Dr. Abdullah. Are you with us, Dr. Abdullah? And then to Dr. Rukaya. Dr. Rukaya Muafa, and also to the last presenter. It is interesting. There are many questions, so many questions actually. Dr. Abdullah, are you with us now? Dr. Abdullah? This is due to the unstable network connection in Yemen and to Indonesia, so there is a little problem, a technical problem. Dr. Abdullah? Okay, I will read the questions to Dr. Okay, Alhamdulillah, Dr. Abdullah. I will. There are many questions for you, but I only choose some of them, the representative one. I will read 1 questions from Enjang Nurhaidin. Anjang Nurhedin, and then now the questions from him mungkin ini ya, how do we manage and maintain the learning emotional geography in online learning, since it is one of the important aspects to consider in learning and particularly in EFL. Do you get the question?
So, how do we manage emotional geography?
Yes.
That
Yes, in online learning, because it is an important aspect to consider in EFL context. Yeah, please.
If the question is about students' concerns of being far away from the teacher, I mean, their concern about being online and offline, you mean by emotional geography? I think the best way to manage that is by giving low stake assignments.
Okay.
Online assignments carry very little weight in the overall scoring. Second thing we can manage students' concern is by discussing the policies with our administration. If it is difficult for the students to be online all the time, maybe because they don't have net connection as we have here in Yemen, for example. Not every student has net connection. So assignments can be synchronous or asynchronous. Not all the assignments should be synchronous. We give them some asynchronous assignments so they can download the assignment when they have net connection, and they do it offline and they submit it in their pace. These are two or three strategies that we can deal with the students' concern. Number one, give low-stake assignments. Number two, we discuss our policies with our administration. And three, give balance between synchronous and asynchronous assignments to allow the students who are offline to do or to work on their pace. Thank you.
Okay, so it is a kind of blended learning, yeah, Dr. Abdullah.
Exactly.
Synchronous and asynchronous.
Blended learning.
Okay. One more question, please, for you. Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, it is from Dwina. Dwina in Makassar. Makassar is in South Sulawesi. It is far from here, actually. And Dwina has a question on how to assess the student who get a very low score. Maybe is there any possibility for online assessment dealing with the students who get a very low one? How to assess the student who get a very low score? Low score in teaching and learning process, low score in acquisition. So how to assess the students with this characteristic?
How we assess students who
Yes, Dr. Abdullah. Are you with us, Dr. Abdullah? It seems that he moves out from the list, yeah? Technical problem again from Yemen. Okay, we're going to back to Dr. Abdullah after this, since there are many questions for the other presenters. To Dr. Rukaya. Dr. Rukaya, are you with us? Dr. Rukaya Muafa? Are you with us, Dr. Rukaya? This is about the technical problem. Actually, the two presenters join us, but yeah, bahasa Indonesianya terlempar dan terpental, join lagi.
I'm sorry.
Alhamdulillah, okay, that's okay. Dr. Rukaya, is it possible for you to open your video because this is very interesting to see the face of female presenters? But if it is impossible due to the network, that's okay.
Oh, no, she asked me to not open the camera because it is not allowed for Saudians.
Oh, I see. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about this one. This cultural communication, yeah. Okay, Dr. Kaya, can you hear me? I'd like to read the
Yes, I
questions.
can. Thank you,
Yeah.
Raida, for
Yeah.
understanding.
Okay, that's okay. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry then. This is from Ibu Nurlaila Kadaria. Ibu Nurlaila is one of our lecturer in Uin Antasari Banjarmasin, yeah. Due to the limitation, she cannot ask the question online, but I will read it for you now. She asked
Okay.
that in Indonesia, most problem faced by students and teacher in Indonesia is internet signal. It is not only in Yemen, but also in Indonesia, in Banjar also, ya, Banjarmasin. So many of us use Google Classroom, the familiar one, right? Instead of using LMS presented by Uin Antasari, they prefer Google Classroom. What are the best option of assessment in this case? What are the best option in using Google Classroom or many other, like written feedback or assessment? Yeah. Okay, time is yours, Dr. Kaya.
Thank you. There are so many types of assessment. You can design the way you want and you prefer for you and your students. I found iSpring Suite that has so many different quiz makers tool. You can pick the quiz that you think is suitable for you, both of you and your students, based on their level, based on their ability to write. Usually, like for beginners or students who are not able to write, fill in the blanks and multiple choice questions would help in that situation. If you are trying to challenge your students to ask them to write more to see their ability to write, open-ended questions is a good way. Um, Also, you can, if you think you're not having enough time to read, you can get benefit from the students by asking them to design a rubric and ask them to help you in grading each other's paper. So it depends on your students at the beginning and the I'm sorry, Miss Raida. I think you are on mute. I can't hear you.
Sorry. Okay, Dr. Kaya, so it is will be based on our the students' characteristic first, and then we can determine with assessment that is suitable for them. Is it like that, yeah,
Yeah.
Dr. Kaya? Okay, okay, good,
Usually, we
great.
need to know our students' level, and based on that, we can
Okay.
determine which type of assessment we should use.
Okay, okay, yeah, it is very interesting to hear your presentation about how to enhance the technology in our learning, yeah. Okay, now I move on to Bapak Rusnadi, yeah, due to the time limit again, I'm so sorry. To Pak Rusnadi, this is from Nur Hikmahas, yeah. And then the question is, what is the strategy used to get the students' motivation in learning English through this pandemic? So this is about motivation. Pak Rusnadi, please.
Thank you very much for the questions. It's not about assessment, but it's about motivation. Well, what we have to do is giving them why, asking them why they want to learn English, and or if we don't ask them why, then give them some enlightenment, some perspective about why English is needed. So giving and give some example of students, for the students, the people who are already good with English and be a successful learners and get their job. So that is the things that we can do. We can give the students motivation, and then Yes, of course, the not what is it? Self motivation is the best one for them to learn and to improve themselves, because without that, then they will reluctant to study and to improve their skill. I think that's it.
Great, thank you very much, Pak Rusnadia. This is about motivation, not assessment, but that's okay. Okay, for the participants, I'm so sorry because we have a very limited time, yeah. And then because we are going to go to the quizzes and also the quizzes and also the exit ticket sessions. So this will be the end of the presentation. I'd like to say thank you very much again and again for the presenters. We will open the question and answer. We will open the quizzes session. And for the presenters, we would like to say thank you very much for your idea sharing. It is very important and beneficial for us. You may choose either to stay in the next session, the quiz session, or to leave it. So that's okay, that's up to you. The committee will personally contact you after this webinar, yeah. Thank you very much for Bapak Dr. Alfala, Dr. Abdullah Rajab Alfala, and then Ibu Dr. Rukayah Nasir Muafa, and Bapak
Thank
Rusnadi
you very much
Alikasan.
for having me.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us, and then we will wait for the next session, for the next webinar again with you, yeah. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ms. Rukayah Muafa. Yeah, let's join us again in the next webinar, yeah. Okay. So for the participants, please stay here because the exit ticket will be shared after this. You may get the you may get the e-certificate if you follow this one, yeah. There will be also a book from our committee, so stand by here. And I return the next session to the MC again, Miss Alfa Rahma and Miss Apipah Linda. The time is yours. Thank you.
Thank you all the speakers for the enlightening materials, which I'm sure will help to improve all the participants' performances in their online classes. And we thank Ibu Raida Asrihana for moderating the forum today and engaging us in a very exciting discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, following this session, we are going to conduct a short quiz, and I believe some prizes will be waiting for the winners. Would you please click the link available in the chat room? Okay, have you? And for those who are watching on YouTube, you can also click the link posted by the committee in the comment column. I request the committee to share the link also in the comment column on YouTube. Baik Bapak Ibu sekalian, bagi Anda yang mengikuti acara ini via Zoom, silahkan klik link yang ada di chat room. Dan bagi yang mengikuti lewat YouTube, bisa mengklik link yang ada di kolom komentar yang diposting oleh panitia. Sudah diklik linknya Bapak Ibu? Kita akan memulai kuis dari link yang tadi sudah diposting. Baik, harap sabar menunggu. Saat ini sudah bergabung 22 peserta dan jumlahnya terus bertambah. Kita tunggu sampai minimal 100 peserta. Ya, sudah 37. Kuis sederhana ini, pemenangnya akan mendapatkan hadiah menarik dari jurusan Tadris Bahasa Inggris Uin Antasari. There will be 6 questions. You have 10 seconds to answer each question. Akan ada 6 pertanyaan saja dengan masing-masing waktu kurang lebih 10 detik. Peserta dengan nilai tertinggi adalah yang menjawab paling banyak benar dan paling cepat. Baik, jumlahnya terus bertambah, sekarang sudah di angka 67. Masih ditunggu yang belum masuk ke kuis, karena kita akan memulai bersama-sama. Baik, sudah 95 orang yang bergabung.
Oh,
Ya, sudah 100 orang bergabung. Kita akan memulai kuisnya sebentar lagi. Saya hitung 1 sampai 10. Setelah itu akan saya klik tombol start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Baik, kita tutup kita tutup peserta. Selanjutnya saya akan klik tombol start dan kita akan mulai kuisnya bersama-sama. Saya ulangi lagi. Setiap soal memiliki waktu kurang lebih 10 detik dan ada 6 soal. Peserta yang menang adalah yang menjawab paling banyak benar dan yang paling cepat. Okay, are you ready? We start from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ya, ramai sekali di grup di layar Zoom. Saat ini nilai yang tertinggi dipegang oleh Nida Muniraj, diikuti oleh Trias Tiana, kemudian Abu Yazid Bustami. Trias Tiana memimpin kembali, diikuti Nida Muniraj. Disalip oleh peserta yang lain. Di urutan kedua, kini ada peserta bernama Kiki. Di urutan ketiga adalah Nur. Baik, masih ditunggu seluruh peserta menyelesaikan semua soal. Ya, baik, waktu habis. Kita lihat perolehan peserta dengan nilai tertinggi. Yang pertama adalah Trias Tiana Masya Kuamila. Yang kedua adalah Nur. Kemudian di urutan ketiga ada Kiki. Panitia harap mencatat nama-nama peserta yang mendapatkan nilai tertinggi. 3 yang teratas dengan nilai 500 5.520, 5.290, 5.280. Saya akhiri kuis sampai di sini. Ya.
Oh ya, administratif.
Ya, ini adalah perolehan nilai peserta. Baik, kami harap kuisnya berjalan menarik bagi seluruh peserta. Kami ucapkan selamat kepada seluruh pemenang. Congratulations to all the winners. Panitia harap mencatat nama-nama tadi, dan bagi pemilik nama diharapkan juga untuk menghubungi panitia melalui kontak person acara yang bisa dilihat kembali di publikasi. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the quiz signals the end of our agenda this afternoon. Thank you all, the speakers and participants, for attending today's forum. Finally, I am Nur Al-Farahmah, on behalf of English Education Department, Uin Antasari, Banjarmasin, wishing you all a wonderful Thursday. We will see you in the next event of TBI Uin Antasari. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Pak Saidil. Thank you, Dr. Abdullah and Dr. Rukaya.
Thank you, Pak Rusnadi.
Teri banyak.
Thank you, Dr. Rukayah and Dr. Abdullah, and also Pak Rusnadi.
Thank you, you're welcome.
Thank you, Ibu Raida.
My pleasure. Sorry for not being maximum here ya. Optimal performance.
Good luck for you all, English department, Pak Rusnadi, and then all the presenters.
Thank you, Ibu
Tangan
Nida.
Ibu Nida.
While watching this conference, I'm still also typing some important things so I can get some ideas here. Really. Okay.
Oke, good. Sehat selalu, Ibu.
Yeah, okay. Okay, see you next time.
See you. Are we still waiting here, Mbak Puji, for the evaluation? Pak Rusnadi?
Yeah.
Are we still waiting here for the evaluation for the committee, or move to the next Zoom link, another Zoom link, or what?